So we do something a little bit different for our speaker introductions. We don't read out any bios. We feel like you can Google that. We have 3 fun facts for each speaker. So our first speaker of the night is Steve, and he has 3 fun facts. So Steve is deathly afraid of hamsters. I don't think there's any hamsters here. He likes to go cave diving, even though he's claustrophobic. And he's a distant descendant of an empress. Steve, come on up and share your fuck up.
All right. Hi there, everyone. My name is Steve. This is my second time coming up here to speak, so it's really nice to be in this new venue. The venue is really beautiful. I love how it's like the summery vibes here. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Steven Shew. People just call me Steve for short. I'm an avid hiker, canoeer, and photographer. So these are the big hobbies that I do through all the seasons. And then in terms of career-wise, right now I work as a solo marketing consulting agent. So essentially what I do is I work with people who have Salesforce products or marketing automation products. And what I do is I pester people by emailing them about promotions. So every time you get a newsletter, every time you get something about, oh, there's 30% off those sunglasses, that's my job. And it's actually quite lucrative because then you can actually track everything that people do, so it's kind of scary. So what I want to get into is actually one of my biggest side hustles that I did called Battle Sports. We ran this business from 2015 to 2020, so this was a indoor entertainment business. It was a 9,000 square feet facility, and we had 4 services that we did. One of them was called archery dodgeball. So basically, it's dodgeball, but you shoot arrows at each other. But there are foam tip arrows, so they'll bounce off you. They won't go in you. They'll bounce off. We also did actual archery. So at one point, I was an Ontario archery instructor, so I taught people how to shoot arrows. Also, third service, Dart of War, which was Nerf games for kids. So a lot of times, we'd have 30 rowdy kids coming in for their birthday parties and trying to shoot each other with Nerf guns. It was way too crazy. Our weekends were packed. And one thing I learned about Nerf games and kids' birthday parties is that as soon as the parents give us the kids, they disappear. They're all gone. They see their kids destroying our place, but they don't care because they're not there anymore. And last, our most successful and most famous service that we had was called the Rage Room, where you get to smash plates, cups, and printers for fun. So we give you a face mask, a coverall suit, and a bat or crowbar, and you get to smash things for fun. And actually, we were on Z103.5 at one point because we did a Valentine's Day special called the Date Night Package. So you could bring your date, and we give you a bunch of glass bottles, glass statues, and a printer to smash. And the interesting thing is, like, a lot of the couples like to lob beer bottles at each other so they can bat it. But most of the time, people don't know how to throw the beer bottles, so they throw it at their partner. I don't know if it's on purpose or by accident. So I've seen many beer bottles bounce off their partner's heads. So it's really good that they have the face mask. Most of the time, people don't get hurt. They're just laughing. Just laugh that their partner just whipped the beer ball across the room and bounced off their face. But the interesting thing about the Rage Room is that we also allow you to bring your own stuff to smash. And divorcees bring in the most interesting things to smash. There was one unfortunate divorcee where just before the wedding, it was called off. And they bought 150 very expensive glass, those glassware, and it was like so many boxes, and they just lined it all up, and they booked a private session so no one could see them, and they were just smashing that. It was amazing. So at Battle Sports, right in our first year, we actually became very profitable. So we ran the business from 2015 to 2020, 5 years, and we gained a lot of traction very quickly. So we were on CBC, we were on The Guardian, we were on a lot of different news channels. And then that caught the eye of Dragon's Den. So I got to be on Dragon's Den right over there. And the cool thing is that we were invited on, so we actually didn't have to audition. We got invited to the show, and it was really an amazing experience. Although we shook hands on TV, we didn't actually get the money in the end, but the publicity was really, really good. And if you ever want to see like a good, solid pitch, you should definitely watch our pitch on season 11, Battle Sports. You look it up, it'll still be online. And we had like a really good time. We didn't get grilled that badly. We were prepared because we had all our numbers in place. We really researched a lot of other people's different pitches, and that's how we put our pitch together. So from there, after doing Dragon's Den, we then caught the eye of Warner Brothers, and we actually got to promote the first Suicide Squad. So this is us doing a bunch of smashing games at the Distillery District, where they had Margot Robbie and Will Smith come in. We got to meet them very quickly, and it was an amazing experience. And from there, like, we were on the verge of like growing big. We had an expansion being built in Montreal, and sales were doing very well. All the publicity was great. It just kept building more and more people coming in. The revenue just kept growing. But from there, we started, a lot of people wonder, like, you know, why am I here as a fuck up? So the fuck up is, I had 6 business partners. That was the biggest fuck up in the beginning, because from there, it was super hard to align the vision. Although at the beginning, things seemed to be working well. Each of us had a different role that we played, but the problem was, as there were more money that was coming in, money really changes people. And all of us, all 6 of us, were friends. But I was the main connector amongst everyone else. So 2 of them were actually my closest friends. And the reason why I'm showing this is because at one point, our communication and our way of working together completely broke down. And then we ended up suing each other. And these brown envelopes is what lawyers love to use when they send it to you, so you get served with the brown envelope. So every time I see these at Staples, I get a little PTSD, because that will tell you what kind of shit you're in and how much money you might have to owe. So from that point, when we gone through a lawsuit, it was terrible. Like, all of us, like, our whole mental health broke down. And it was hard because we couldn't really talk about it with the staff, because we wanted to make sure that, like, we wanted to try to keep it on the down low. But it's really hard to keep it on down low, because all of a sudden you notice that some of the partners are no longer there and that they're in our other location. So what happened was there were 2 different factions that formed, and that's why we started to fight each other. In the end, we did settle. But unfortunately, because our relationship broke down so much that we just could never work with each other again. And when COVID hit in 2020, since we're indoor entertainment business, we ended up having to shut down. And we thought to ourselves, okay, maybe what we'll see is when all of this is over, should we get back together with the people that are left and continue? But the interesting thing was, a little bit of silver lining there is that because we were closed for so long, eventually all of us just moved on with our lives. And in a way, we moved on to do much better things. And all of us had, like, we led much better lives, much better mental health, because back then when we were all doing battle sports, we were working from 9 to 5 and then 5 to midnight doing battle sports. So we had our 9 to 5 job, corporate job, 5 to 11 battle sports. So the biggest thing is, it felt like all of us went there for, like, the school of entrepreneurship, because we learned a lot. We learned a lot there. And we learned, I think the biggest lesson that all 6 of us learned is that we can actually create something and do something that can be important to us. So the top 4 learning lessons I want to, like, impart upon you is, number 1, don't rush. How many of you here are thinking of starting a business with a friend? Good. Oh, just one? All right. Well, One of the biggest things is that the reason why I say don't rush is that if you're starting a business with a friend or an associate or someone else, the biggest thing to do is maybe start off with a small project just to see how well you work with each other. The problem with us is that we just rushed into it. We saw this opportunity to create this archery facility that we didn't even think about starting a project together and then just seeing how it goes. So we rushed into that. We also rushed, excuse me, we also rushed our legal documents. So we should have got a lawyer to go through our business papers, but we didn't, so that was a bad idea. Excuse me. Also, learning lesson number 2, don't make your work your family. So the biggest thing, and a lot of people already know this now, but turning your work into your family is a terrible, terrible idea. And the problem is we create this very toxic work culture where we kind of expect the people to go above and beyond constantly because, you know, you're part of the family. And if you're not working hard, then you're not part of the family, so you're kind of shunned. And that was really bad because that led to some people feeling like they weren't enough and that they weren't contributing enough. And the biggest thing is that one thing I learned is that the work, there's a clear boundary between what is work and what is your actual family. The third lesson, and I find this one of the more important ones, is to remember to cherish your actual family and friends, because they'll be there to support you when you fall. When the business closed, I made the business like my whole personality, and the business was who I was. And when the business closed, I didn't even know who I was anymore. And it was my family and friends that really helped pick me back up, remind me of who I was before, and really helped me build up my mental health. And the last most important thing is take care of yourself. You are not your business. You are more than that. Your business is just an aspect of who you are. There are many different qualities that make you you. So I want to repeat that again. You are not your business. You are much more than that. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing your story. Let's jump to the next slide. So we're going to open it up for some Q&A for Steve. I'm sure you'll all have some really great questions. Ian is going to come over to you. Just raise your hand if you have a question. And I'll just ask, please keep the question itself brief so that we can get through as many as possible.